Hey, what up, everyone? Corey Taylor here from Slipknot, and you are watching Fight+Music. The album is, it's dark, it's heavy, it's melodic, it's loaded with a lot of anger, a lot of melancholy, a lot of sadness. Essentially, it's the story of the last 4 years of this band. You know, we've been through hell and back, and you know, it took us a while to kind of get our legs underneath us again. So you know, that's essentially what the album is. It's just an amalgam of all of the emotions that go through not only the grieving process, but trying to reconnect again and find the passion to come back. And you know, it's probably one of the best things we've ever done. The tour's going great, man. I mean, it's probably been the best tour we've ever been a part of, you know, and not only just because of the fans, but the bands that are, you know, involved, you know. I know King 810 isn't here today because there were issues at the border, but they're a fantastic new band, a lot of passion, love what they do, you know. It's great to bring, you know, the new blood out like that. And then we've been friends with Korn for years, and you know, this is something that the two bands have been talking about doing, you know, for a really long time. So I'm really stoked that we were able to not only be able to put it together finally, but do it now with this album, because it's such a representation of the second phase for this band. It just took that many people to get the noise out of our head, you know? I mean, for us, we wanted to create something that was different, and it just, you know, it was one of those things where we just kept adding members, basically, because when I joined, it was only 8, you know? So, and, you know, once we kind of got to the point where we were just missing that one thing, we were able to kind of really realize everything that we wanted to do musically, you know? And, we're one of those bands that we strive so hard to be able to project everything we do on the album live, you know, and it just took that many members to make that a reality. Oh, not at all. Not at all. No, no. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, no offense to wrestling entertainment or anything, but I mean, this is a little more volatile than anything like that. I mean, obviously, it's aggressive, and it's at times it can be full contact. But yeah, I think I'm the only fan of wrestling in the band, to be honest. But I'm such a huge fan that I make up for everybody's, you know, lack of passion for that. You know, I just grew up with it. You know, I mean, I grew up watching not only WWF at the time, but, you know, AWA, NWA. The region that I was in, we would actually get kind of rebroadcasts of World Class down in Texas. You know, so we would get a lot of stuff, and then, you know, obviously AWA was Minnesota. But, you know, every once in a while you get some stuff from Memphis, you know. So I grew up really exposed to all of the different regions, you know. And, you know, before WWE kind of, you know, laid waste to the competition. But it was, you know, it was just something that I've just carried over from when I was younger, you know. And when you have something like that you're so into and you're such a fan of it, it's hard to let that go, you know. I mean, there's a handful. I mean, some of the ones that jump to mind, obviously, is some of the old, like the matches between Macho Man and Steamboat were really fantastic, you know. And then Steamboat and Flair were really great matches as well. I mean, you want to talk about two dudes at the top of their game. You know, I mean, two legends. But there are moments that I remember from when I was younger, like Kevin Sullivan trying to plunge a stake into one of the wrestlers' hearts, and then the wrestler jumps out of the way, ends up just staking one of the referees. I always thought Kevin Sullivan was amazing because he was just the crazy guy, and you know, he played that satanic part really well. But then you've also got stuff like Roddy Piper, who's one of my favorites, you know, attacking Cyndi Lauper, and I was like, oh my God, what are they gonna do? You know, so, and as a young guy, you know, you're totally into the storyline, you know, believing it. And yeah, I just, you know, there's all those like great moments that to go with like the great matches as well. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I even go to independent shows if I'm close. Yeah, I went to one in Vegas actually, where I have a home, with my sister-in-law, who was like totally didn't really know what to expect, right? And it was called Freak Show Wrestling, and it was fantastic. There was so much weirdness going on. There was a lumberjack match between Sin Bodhi and Jim Morrison, or John Morrison, excuse me, and but it wasn't just a lumberjack match. There were clowns, so it was a lumber clown match, and it was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. So go Freak Show Wrestling. It's weird, you know. I mean, I almost think, and it's nothing against WWE, because I understand, you know, the reasons for taking it globally and really trying to be the best. I totally understand that, but I think the destruction of the territories really has stilted the growth of a lot of the wrestlers. You know, I understand there's Ohio Valley, which is, I think, is now NXT, and there's all these other little kind of independents, but it's not the same. You know, like you can't go from territory to territory now and make a living, really. I mean, it's all kind of based on having that backup, you know. I mean, when I was at that Freak Show Wrestling thing, I saw a really great tag team out of Reno called the Reno Scum, and they were great. They were fantastic, and I'm like, I would love to see these guys on a bigger stage, but unless you go to New York, I mean, what are you gonna do? Because TNA, I mean, let's face it, that's where, you know, careers go to die, basically. And it bums me out because there are so many great wrestlers that have continued on at TNA and have really tried to bring that kind of level, but it's just not the same. The creativity's not the same. The production level's obviously not the same. You know, they tried to build it up as the big, you know, the next WCW rivalry, and it's just never gone anywhere. Dude, I'm telling you, I was so stoked. And the thing is I didn't get to see it live because we were playing a show. And then all of a sudden, my friends are blowing me up on my phone. They're like, dude, you've got to go online. You got to check out the last, like, you know, 10 minutes of the match. So, and they didn't tell me. Thank God. They, you know, no spoilers. So I get online and I'm watching it because obviously I have, you know, I have the network. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I was like, because they've been threatening it for like a year and a half, you know? And I, dude, lit up like I was 12 years old again. I was so stoked that I couldn't even breathe. And I watched it like 4 times. I loved it. I was a kid in a candy store, man. I know they're talking about Taker, which obviously that'll be a killer match. Physically, though, I don't know if it would be exactly where we would want it. But I know Sting and I know Taker could totally pull it off because, I mean, those guys are pros and they'll do everything they can to entertain the fans. But I would love to see Sting and H. I think that'd be a hot match, especially after the screw job, you know, and the little moment they had in between. I think if Sting's got one more run in him, I think that'd be really, really cool. Just, you know, like a year down the line to see, because I just want to see Sting at WrestleMania. You know, I just want to see Sting at WrestleMania with anyone. You know, I just, oh, that'll be my dream. Dude, look at me. I'm obviously in no physical condition. I can barely do the Slipknot show anymore, man. You know, my knees are shot from jumping off of stupid crap, and my eyes are shot because of, you know, the dreads that I used to have. I've got scarring on my retinas and my corneas because of it. So, and I got, you know, everything's broken. So I don't, you know, and I'm friends with a handful of those guys, and they're like, man, I'll work you out if you want. I'm like, what are you, nuts? That window passed for me a long time ago. I just enjoy going, you know.